All right, now let's take a look at this headline, if we can, from Fox News. It says, Seattle spends heavily to house homeless in pricey hotels and fancy penthouse view studios. That can't be true, can it? Apparently it is. The author of that piece, Jason Rantz, joins me now. Jason, tell me about these brand new apartment buildings the city just spent $50 million on. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, and that's just apartments in Seattle. So they're building these, they're not high rises, they're sort of mid rises where they're putting some homeless folks in. There's supposed to be some wraparound services because there is an ideological view that the problem with homelessness, what's causing homelessness, is a lack of affordable housing. But in this case, we're talking about like 165 units, which means they're spending about $300,000 per studio. And that's before you factor in the amount of money that you're spending on the services. At the same time, Seattle is leasing hotel rooms. King County government, where Seattle is located, has spent $230 million so far to purchase hotels. We're talking about 9 in all. It's only going to house about 1,000 people. But while they tell us this is all about like meeting people where they are and giving them the services that they actually want, there was this expose about a month ago or so, and it followed a group of folks, 57 homeless out of 78. And they got into this program called Just Care, which is supposedly this very successful program. Less than a year later, after going into the hotels, 20 of them ended up back onto the streets. 16 of the homeless we have no data on. We have no idea what happened with them. And only 6 people got into permanent housing. And when it comes to that, we don't really have even long-term what that even means. How long are they staying in the permanent housing? So we don't know if this is actually working. All we know is that we're spending a lot of tax dollars, and it's not just local dollars, it's also COVID relief dollars, into buying all this property, but we haven't really seen any of the results yet.
Well, I would imagine it's encouraging the homeless population to grow. I mean, if I'm on the streets, God forbid, I'm not going to go and say, yeah, I'll take whatever services you have. I'm going to stick around until I get my penthouse studio apartment with a panoramic view, right?
Absolutely. We're already starting to see that. So some folks are saying they're not going to come out of their encampment unless they get a hotel room or unless they get a tiny home all to themselves. They're choosing that. And obviously that's not going to address the problem, because all you're doing is you're not addressing the underlying cause of homelessness. It has nothing to do with housing prices in Seattle. You have a lot of people who are addicted. You have a lot of people who are dealing with mental health issues, and some just don't have the job training that they need. So unless you're doing intensive wraparound services that hold these people accountable, you're just creating subsidized housing forever and ever and ever, and it's never going to go away. And by the way, hey, everybody else around Washington State or around King County, why don't you come to our city? We'll give you a hotel room.
It's insane. You know, the irony is, and I think you point this out in your editorial, is that these hotels that have been bought and turned into homeless shelters were shuttered down in many cases because of the mandate on COVID and the COVID mandates, which meant those poor businesses couldn't survive. And now they've turned them into homeless shelters.
Exactly. And we're never going to get those back, right? We're never going to get these hotels back. Right. And yet at the same time, we want to continue to grow as this world-class city. You have Major League Baseball coming into Seattle for the All-Star game in a bit. So, I mean, we're not really going to be able to serve them. And God forbid anyone actually walk around this city, because as many hotels as we're buying, clearly not enough to house the homeless population. You're going to be running into rampant homelessness. It's getting more aggressive, more dangerous. You have encampments that are seeing murders and attempted rapes and fights all the time. This is not the best place to be, and we're still not serving them in the way they need to be served so they can get on that path to self-sufficiency.
Right. All right. I'll have to leave it there. I'm sure the taxpayers are thrilled. Some of the liberal ones are, I'm sure, but it's insane. All right, Jason, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Ashley.
And by the way, now this, the